What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is time for another endo update. My last update was about 2 months ago at this point, I think, and if you watched that, you probably know that I was a complete emotional mess, and I'm somewhat embarrassed that that video is out online for everyone to see. But I just wanted to do a new update for you guys because there are new developments and updates that I want to touch on, and I also wanted to try to clarify some of the information that I talked about in my last video, because obviously I was very emotional and I had filmed that video straight out of that doctor's appointment that I was talking about in my video, so I hadn't had time to really process any of the stuff that I was talking about. So I'm sure as far as communication goes, I was just like a little bit off. So I wanted to try to clarify some things, give you guys an update, give you guys details on my surgery and when that is happening and all of that good stuff. So we're just gonna get into it. So starting off with my last doctor's appointment and my previous video, basically my doctor suspects that because I'm still in chronic pain after excision surgery with him, that I most likely have adenomyosis, which is a disease alongside endo. It's very common that if you have endo, you might have adeno as well. It's basically endometriosis that grows in the uterus and into the muscular wall of the uterus, causing a lot of different issues. That was overwhelming all in itself. He suggested that the next step would be to get a presacral neurectomy, which is a surgery where he basically will go in and cut the nerves in my uterus that conduct pain signals to my brain, which sounds kind of scary. It is kind of scary, but I know that it is what needs to be done, and I know it's the best next step for me personally. So that is happening. The surgery is scheduled for early July, so probably in about 3 weeks or so, three and a half weeks, I will be having that done. And yeah, there's a lot of different emotions surrounding that. Basically the biggest thought in my head as of right now is this is completely different than any surgery I've had done before. All of my past surgeries have been to remove endo and tissue that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. So the big difference with this surgery is he is going in and cutting and altering my natural body and the way that God created my body, which has been a little hard to wrap my mind around a little bit. So there's that. He said that the recovery won't be as long as my last surgery, which if you guys have been following along with my journey for a while now, you know that my last surgery and the recovery of that was very, very hard, and I was very ill prepared for that. This surgery has been really, really hard to find information and insight on. So we all know that endo doesn't have a lot of knowledge or research done on it. It is one of those things that is very much kept quiet, unfortunately. But I do feel like if you are wanting to find information on excision surgery or anything like that regarding endo and that surgery, it is somewhat easy to find people who have gone through that to kind of get like personal experience on. I have run into the issue of figuring out that presacral neurectomies, or PSN for short, are performed a lot less frequently than endometriosis excision surgery. So trying to find people that have personal experience and can give me insight as to what the surgery did to help them, what the complications of the surgery are, was it worth it, has been very, very difficult for me to find. So I'm kind of going into this with the mindset that I know my body and I feel like this is the best step for me, so I'm going to try. It is intimidating to walk into this, like my last surgery, not knowing what to expect. It's just kind of gotten to the point where I've accepted that it needs to be done, and I am going to go in with the best mindset possible. One thing I want to touch on, which I was really, really confused about when being told that I potentially have adenomyosis, was the diagnosis process of adenomyosis. Everyone knows that in order to diagnose endo, you have to have a laparoscopy, and that tissue needs to be sent to pathology before you can get the definite diagnosis of endometriosis. Adenomyosis is a tad bit different. A lot of women were saying online to me that the only way to diagnose adenomyosis is to biopsy the uterus as a whole after a hysterectomy, which is very, very scary. However, I did end up scheduling another consult with my doctor because I did have a few questions regarding my PSN that I wanted to get clarification on before I gave the official okay for the surgery. The day before my consult, my doctor released an article where he basically stated that if you have a skilled person doing an MRI or getting visualization of your uterus, Sometimes it can be diagnosed that way. He said in his article that it can be hard if a woman has been on birth control because the hormones of birth control suppress any, I guess, visualization of adeno. However, like I said in my previous update, I was taken off of my birth control because my doctor thought it was contributing to some other issues I was having. So by the time I went in for my consult, I had been off birth control for about 2.5 months. So I was very, very excited going into this consult because I was like, my body is, free from birth control. He can just do a quick ultrasound and just, let me know if I have adenomyosis, because it is very intimidating to know that the only way to get a for sure diagnosis is after a hysterectomy, especially considering that if you do have adenomyosis, that is a disease that directly impacts your fertility. So I just wanted to get a clear-cut answer on that before I move forward with anything. So at the consult, I asked him if he could do an ultrasound. I explained to him that I had been off birth control for a while and that now would be the best time. And he basically told me that he was not going to do the ultrasound, which crushed me, but he explained that he believes that I have adenomyosis based off of the chronic pain I'm experiencing, not based off of how my uterus looks. So he deemed it as, not worth the time or the money to have that done. I decided to take a long shot and ask him if, while he was in surgery doing my PSN, if he could take biopsies of my uterus to potentially send to pathology, because I'm one of those people that in order to have peace of mind, I have to have a diagnosis. And that's how it was with endo. I did everything in my power to take all the steps I needed to get that diagnosis. I think having an answer is the very, very first step of self-acceptance and, moving forward with your life with a chronic disease. And it has been tearing me up that I have not been able to know for sure if I have adenomyosis. So I took the long shot. I asked him if he would take biopsies of my uterus while he was in surgery, and he told me no to that as well, which is also completely understandable. He said that basically I could have just a touch of adenomyosis, and to find that, trying to take biopsies of my uterus would be like finding a needle in a haystack, and he could go in and take 10 biopsies and they could all come back negative, but that still wouldn't ensure that I did or didn't have adenomyosis. And in doing that, he would also be causing further harm to my womb. So I have had to, I guess, kind of come to terms with the fact that I might never have this answer, which is, really difficult, because I don't want to get too personal about this, because I'm obviously still grossly emotional and still grappling with, all this as it is happening. But basically, if I have adenomyosis, I don't want to try to have kids. The likelihood of me experiencing a miscarriage or preterm labor or some other, pregnancy complication would be extremely high, and I don't want to be put in that position. However, the only way to ensure that I have adenomyosis would be to have a hysterectomy, which would also take away my ability to have children. So as of right now, I feel like I am stuck in this awful, awful place of feeling trapped to not have kids. And, I have realized that infertility is, man, it is a battle that I don't want anyone to go through, because, being 20 years old and dealing with this, I now have so many questions and concerns about my future and what that looks like and what I thought it was going to look like, and now dealing with the fact that it's not going to look the way I wanted it to look has been, a very, very huge battle. But that's just kind of where we're at. So at no point in the near future am I going to have a solid diagnosis of adenomyosis, nor am I going to find out that I don't have adenomyosis. It is just one of those things that I am going to have to come to terms with, that I am just not going to know. Unfortunately, I am getting to a place where I am running out of treatment options. So this PSN is, in my head, my last chance of a somewhat normal life before getting a hysterectomy. I think if this doesn't work, God forbid that it doesn't work, but if it doesn't work, I think hysterectomy is the next step. And at that point, I would be potentially getting a diagnosis within the next couple years, maybe, but I'm really just trying to take it one day at a time and not focus and get wrapped up too much in the future, because nothing is guaranteed and there's no point in worrying about it. So that's where I'm at right now. So I have my surgery the beginning of July. It's gonna be good. I think I'm trying to go in with the best attitude possible. This is progress, even though, you know, I'm dreading another recovery and I am dreading another experience with anesthesia and all of this. I know that it is what needs to be done and it is what is best for me. So, you know, hopefully that goes all right. Hopefully I don't have any more traumatizing experiences waking up from surgery. I know that after my last surgery, I kind of gave you guys like a walkthrough of what that day looks like. And I will say that, you know, you guys know that I stayed in the hospital a little longer than I was hoping to and my doctors were hoping to, because they performed a nerve block in surgery, which is supposed to make the recovery a little bit easier because they basically numb everything in your abdomen. You don't feel anything. It's supposed to be great and a blessing to have. However, my nerve block caused some issues and I basically I'm so tired of talking about my bladder on YouTube. I couldn't feel when I needed to pee, so that caused some issues, as you can probably imagine. So I'm not having the nerve block done this time, so I will probably be in more pain as far as the first couple days of recovery goes, because I will be feeling everything that is happening, but I should be fine as far as my bladder and that whole entire thing goes. So I'm very, very grateful for that, because I think the nerve block was the biggest turnoff going into this next potential surgery for me. I just didn't want to deal with it. Not being able to pee on your own and empty your bladder is horrible, and I think people don't count the fact that being able to pee and have a functioning bladder is a very, very huge blessing. So I'm not having a nerve block this time. I will be feeling everything straight out of surgery. It's gonna be great. Very much looking forward to it. I will also be talking to my anesthesiologist right before surgery. As you guys know, waking up from surgery last time, I had one of the worst panic attacks of my whole entire life. I literally thought that I was dying. I couldn't breathe, and it was extremely scary to wake up into that. So I am going to have the opportunity to talk to my anesthesiologist before going into surgery and basically tell him that as soon as they get me back to the OR, they need to knock me out, because I can't deal with people touching me. And last surgery, there was literally like 8 people touching me all at once and plugging me up to all these machines and stickers and all that, and it was, you know, not great. So hopefully I have it set up to where coming out of this surgery I will be better off than last time. Of course, we don't really know until it happens, but you know, like I said, I'm just hoping for the best. So that's kind of where I'm at in life right now. I have another surgery. I have no idea if I have adenomyosis. There is no way to find out without you know, running into some severe infertility issues. So we're just living life, going day by day, and trying to have the best attitude. So yeah, so that is about it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below for more content, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!